Well, I think they've continued to work. We have been, obviously, once we got into official practice, a lot more time in the film room where I think they see day by day where we are behind, where we need to get ahead. And I do like the response for the most part. As a staff, we like that they've tried to respond to some of those things, but we're looking for consistency every day from everyone. But overall, I mean, I think the work ethic's been good, but we've got to just keep cleaning up the areas that we know we've got to clean up.
Who's been most consistent for you?
Do what?
Who's been most consistent for you?
Well, I would think day in and day out, the most consistent guys have probably been Jacoby, certainly. I would throw Felix in that group. And for a young guy, I think Nate's done a pretty good job with that too, because there's lots been thrown at him. And everyone has shown that they can do it. It's just a matter of putting those back-to-back days together. Been impressed with Ethan in a short time that he's been able to pick up in only, 8 or 9 practices. I think that he's shown it a real willingness to figure out a whole different game for himself that he's playing right now. But we just need more and more of it.
Coach, were you at health-wise, JP and Cade, specifically, how are they starting?
You know, they're going at it. You know, Cade is they're there. You know, we just still there are certain things we'll continue to monitor with both JP and Cade, but they're doing fine.
What's one thing that the fans wouldn't know about this team?
Most of them wouldn't know some of them's names. You know, I think the biggest thing is just we've got so many new guys that they're going to get introduced to these guys here pretty soon. But the fact is, unless you're here every day and around players, you don't ever really know. But being around them every day, we got a really good group of guys that have a real commitment to each other. And that's not just me, coach speaking or whatever. I mean, we feel that that's the one thing that this summer that we weren't sure about, and how when you bring in so many different guys, how they're going to blend, and they've done a great job with that.
Coach, do you worry about that? I mean, culture's been such a big part of this place since you've been here, and now the turnover is so much. I mean, you lose 2 guys like July and Sakai. Do you worry about the connectivity, that bleeds over?
You do. You worry about. I mean, that was a big thing coming in. That's why we believe the most important thing we can do is retention. And when you talk about retention, you're talking about guys that understand the way you do things, the way you want things done on a day-to-day basis, not just in this building, but away from here, and everything they do, how we want our program represented. And so I really do appreciate the older guys setting the tone for these the young guys that come in, because they don't know what they don't know. And so much is so new to them. They don't know. They for the most of everybody that comes in, they until they go through the blender of it, the grind of it, it's just really hard to explain to anybody. Even though I think when they see it on a visit or something like that, they think they can do it, but they realize once they get here, it's harder than they think, and it's supposed to be. But our older guys, I think, really do and have done a good job trying to explain to them and talk about, what's next, what we're up against, and what we'll be up against every night.
It's not the first time somebody's asked you about this, but has it surprised you how you've adapted to NIL, and you clearly still are enjoying it? Has it surprised you at all how you've adapted to it as you go into year 11 here?
Well, again, in all my time in college basketball, you've had to adapt every year to something. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's been so many different changes throughout my career in basketball, and you do it, you adapt. If you don't, it's not going to work. And but with where we are today, I'm thankful again. It goes to our administration. They've done everything from their point of view in terms of what do we have to do to be competitive where we are today and how it has to be done. And I've got an incredible staff. They've jumped in on it. They know exactly what we got to do, and we have our formula that we're going to stick with and where we are today. And that's not to say it might not change tomorrow, but we're in a position that we are always ready to adapt, change, and pivot different ways based on where we are and what might happen with rule changes, all that. I mean, we're just ready to pivot wherever we need to pivot to.
But you've been able to stay true to who you are as a coach, your staff, and the way you guys play. How do you think you've been able to do that?
I think transparency. I think when we talk to people about our program here, we're very transparent, very honest, and tell them how it's going to be. And regardless of all the other things that we're dealing with in college sports today, I mean, it's still the game is the game, and the fundamentals are the fundamentals, and the way we play. You know, we want to recruit to the style that we want to play to, but we also know that sometimes the players might not do exactly what you thought coming in. You have to adjust to that. You have to adapt to that. I mean, and when you've got an experienced staff like I have and the time that they put into these guys, we quickly learn about them and know which way we need to go with them.
How have Coach McLean and Coach Morrow adjusted to their roles?
They're great. I mean, both of those guys. I mean, certainly Steve McLean's been around a long time, and I don't know what it is, but people think he's my brother. And I mean, we were out recruiting yesterday, and we went into this place to eat, and I actually said, well, he is my older brother, you know. But he's been around. He knows. He's one of those guys. Again, you talk about adapting, pivoting in the business. He understands it because he's a grinder, you know. And I think where Amara has come in, I mean, his personality and who he is, being the youngest guy with our staff, has been great. And he's got an incredible work ethic. You can tell he's worked really hard in the business up to this point where he knows a lot of people, and he just been great with the players. Both of them have been, and we really, I mean, we've improved ourselves, and I'm excited about that. And again, those two guys bring a wealth of recruiting too, where I don't think it falls on one or two guys. And they're really connected there with the rest of the staff in terms of how we're trying to go about it now.
One of the NBA guys said Nate's up 19 pounds since April.
Mm-hmm.
How much has he progressed physically? Where do you all want him?
I mean, when you work as hard as Nate works, he's going to progress. But it's all new to him. I mean, he's learning to play on the perimeter for the first time in his life consistently. Guards, you know, in high school he was mostly matched up with, you know, post guys that played around the baskets some. So he's learning how to play a lot away from the basket. And it's fun because he doesn't even know yet what we know about how much he's going to improve between now and even, I mean, he's improving every day, but he wants to improve. That's what makes it great. I mean, he's open about everything. He's diligent, puts a lot of time in on his own, comes back always wanting to watch film, always wanting to figure out how to get better. And he's a guy right now, I mean, I would tell anybody that, you know, we're certainly not going to put him in a box, and I wouldn't put a cap on him because who knows what he might end up being before he's all done here.
How important is that weight?
It is, and well, it is, and it's really impressive the fact that we've ran a lot. I mean, you know, when you're trying to put on weight and you're as active as we are, it's hard to do that. But he's put it on in the right way, you know, muscle weight, and he'll continue to do that. I mean, that's just the process he's going to go through, and hopefully next couple of weeks he'll keep building with that because he needs that, and he needs more.
Coach, I don't think this is sound dramatic, but we've not heard you talk about, I don't think anybody, like you talk about Nate. And because of your history in the game, the players you've been around, you almost feel responsibility to help him get the most.
Well, I tell you the truth. Now I think if you talk to the players, I mean, I was in the locker room the other day with a couple guys at 7 o'clock at night talking to them about what we expect. I mean, you know, you guys ask about him more, obviously, and for obvious reasons, but we want it out for all of them. I mean, we don't want any of our guys to think that we're not. But they're all at a different place in some ways, at different degrees of the maturity level. You know, how they see it, what they see, and so each guy, we spend so much time with each guy, and as coaches, I've got great coaches with that because we're very direct with our guys, very direct, and some of them might think it's what's more than I don't know what they might think, other than it's right between the eyes. And when they hear that, they might want somebody to maybe soothe it over for them. So I got coaches that do a good job with that, you know.
How do you think Cade has maybe benefited from kind of being that direct coach as he's continued to
Cade's a tough. Cade comes from a very competitive family, and he wouldn't know it any other way. I mean, he's been around competition within his family, and there's a work ethic there, and again, again, another guy that where I give our staff great credit. Not a highly recruited player, but someone that we saw something in, and he's come in, he's worked, and his best days are ahead.
You talked a little bit about the difference, the guys who you brought in from overseas. What is the difference in the game itself for them coming over in the style of play?
Well, it's just totally different game. I mean, the physicality is different, the tempo's different. Guys that again, I look better right now. You got a comment?
I agree.
It's just different, the intensity level is really ratcheted up, obviously, too. And not that they don't do it. It's just a different game, There are going to be things like traveling is going to be called more here than the way it might be there. And they allow some continuation things that won't happen here. And so, but Ethan's doing great with it. Again, I know he's really hard on himself trying to figure this out. But for a guy that's only been through 8-9 practices, he's done really well.
How big of a point of emphasis has it been from y'all's staff to get Jacoby kind of out of his comfort zone as a vocal leader?
Well, and we still will. I mean, that's something he knows he's going to have to work at. He's had enough people, not just us, but people outside our program that we've had talk to him, talk about he's going to have to be more boisterous and let his voice be heard, and especially on the court. And it's like any part of the game. Some guys need to work on shooting or passing. He needs to work on that part of it from his position, and he will, because again, he really cares. He's got incredible stamina. I mean, he's probably put in more miles than anybody on our team. I mean, he hardly ever takes himself out or comes out, and that's just another facet of the game he's going to have to be conscious of doing.
Coach, how much different do you think you guys will be offensively this year than, not just last year, but just because of the low post presence, ability to play inside out?
Well, it's different. It really is in the fact that, we haven't been able, I've watched some games. I was out yesterday and watching some tape on the plane of some of our games last year, and I mean, we went games on games and really didn't even try to post the ball, and that's different. Obviously, we're going to have a chance to do that in various different ways, but so that is one of the major differences.
How has Ethan been continuing to adjust to the speed and how much running you guys do?
His biggest adjustment is understanding the way I talk. That's the honest truth. I mean, he told me, he said, "Coach, I don't understand you sometimes." I said, "Neither does my wife, so don't feel bad about it." He does, because I'm. We said something to him one day about, I said, "I want you to play above the block." He had no idea what the block was. He said, "The block to them is in front of the basket." I said, "Well, you figure that out. I'm not changing, But, it's just little things like that. But, he's mature. He's not afraid to speak up, and he's going to compete. But we haven't waited on him. We told him we're not waiting. This train started rolling back in the summer, and I said, "You're going to have to jump on board, and we're not going to be able to slow down and go back and try to teach you everything. You're going to have to use your experience. You're going to have to watch. You're going to have to come out there, and you're going to have to go." And but we're not waiting, and he's been fine with that.
What's Troy's growth been like?
Great. He really had last week he had put together some of his best days back to back, and it goes back to, I would say that about Troy, Mo, so many of those guys, but it's now what can we count on every day? That's what it's going to get down to, the consistency part of it with all these guys. And but Troy is last week he really had a good week with that.
You've been able to see a guy like Cade kind of grow up in his few years here. How's he taken more of a leadership role this year? Do you think he's settling into that a little bit more?
Well, I think he was until he got hurt and he was out for a while. That always sets you back when you're not out there, because those guys know how hard it is to go through what we go through daily, and when you're on the side, sometimes I think guys feel like, well, maybe they can't stay where they are because those guys are going through it. But Cade will, he's going to play, he's going to do it. But again, he'll do that for us, because he knows we need that from him. We need it from JP too. We need those guys that have been here to be the guys that just keep talking about what we're up against.